So, Mimi, how are you liking the adult life?
I don't vibe personally.
I'm terrified. I don't know. I'm just
like-
scared that I'm not doing anything right, you know?
Same, and I wanted this independence, but it's like also like responsibility comes with that, and so now it's just hitting me.
So
in the
now if I
face.
don't get things done, it's my own fault.
Facts. But I've always been accepting of things are my own fault, so it's okay.
Me too, but now it's like actually gravity.
Yeah. Should I hold this too?
I guess. I don't want me to be louder than you. I'm already
That's fine.
louder.
Okay. Are we introducing ourselves?
If you want.
Okay. Ready? 3, 2, 1. Hey everyone, and we're back. I know, shocking that it's the both of us. Like this is Area Real Estate.
Right. They're back.
I'm Emily Nevels, and I'm serving as the state vice president this year.
And let me scoot in. I'm Jasmine Jones, and I'm serving as the state treasurer this year.
And today we're doing a little overview of our year in state office because we're very different people, at least I think,
Yeah, for sure.
from when we came in. And so we've learned a lot, we've had a lot of experiences, and we've had a lot of fun. So we have some questions prepared for each of us to answer. So yeah.
I'll hit you with the first one.
Oh my God, thanks.
What did this year of service do for you?
I look, you should have come more prepared for this because I think about
No,
this
I
a
think
lot.
the more you freeball it, the more genuine
The better
it is.
Okay. Thank you. That spoke to me. What did this year do for me? It gave me a team of 9 other best friends. It always taught me to be the person who makes the connection first. Like, don't be afraid to walk into that room and don't be afraid to talk to the people because, like, at the end of the day, if you are not the one who crosses that barrier or that boundary, then no one else is going to do it. It has taught me that I need to work better to handle my stress load and, like, to balance my...
Get a planner or something.
Literally, like, not like my work-life balance, but just, like, how things are going to be in the future and how we're going to have workloads similar to this. It's taught me to live more in the moment. And I think that's something I still need to work on is just to be more appreciative of all the things.
Living in the 365.
Yeah, living in the 365. Just to be more appreciative of the things around me and the experiences that we get to have. Ultimately, this year made me a better person. It made me realize that life is too short to worry about the little things and that you should seek out the things that you really want to do and that you really love. And even if it's something you never thought you would do, you should still do it. I don't know. I think I learned so much this year. And in fact, after we got done with all our leadership camps this summer, I was in a journaling mood. I haven't touched that journal since. But anyway, like I just remember writing a lot about how different I felt after 3 weeks and just the experiences there and how, I don't know, they kind of redirected my perspective of life and just changed a lot for me and kind of set the pedestal for which I would look up to throughout the rest of the year. So yeah, I'm really thankful for state office. What did this year do for you?
Well, something that I learned kind of towards the end of the year, I just am going to talk about a very few specific things because if I talked about everything, we'd be here all day.
Yeah,
we can't do that. So, one thing that I learned is, like, I've always moved around. I know I talk about this, like, people are probably sick about hearing about
They're
this
not.
because this is, like,
This is
the
her
main
story.
part of my personality. You guys have definitely heard this before, so I'm sorry. Fast forward this part. But, like, I moved around a lot, and so none of my connections were ever, like, unless it was my family, none of my connections were ever that deep or that
true.
severe because I was either preparing to let them go, I had to let them go, or I knew it was some coming in the future, or I was just used to that, or, you know, I just moved there, and so obviously your connections are not going to be deep. And so I always kind of struggled with, I could get into service level friendships.
Yeah.
And I could get like, but what makes a friend family? Like what turns that? And this is the first time that I've experienced someone that's not my blood relative kind of become like part of my family. Now I've had like my parents' friends have become part of the family, and so like those are like my friends, but those are not like those are not people that I brought into the family.
No.
But this year, like, we became really, really close with our state officer team.
Yeah.
And the state office, the state officer team, it's something that it's not really like any other opportunity that you're going to get in the fact that you're kind of forced proximity with 9 other people for a lot of time.
Yeah.
And so you kind of have to learn to love them. Not that any of our teammates were ever unlovable, but it was a group of people that not all of those people I would have always hung out with.
No.
But by spending so much time with them, I learned A, how to hang out with them, B, how close to become with them and how to become their family. And the thing that I learned is the way that you turn like a shallow friendship into a really deep connection is just time.
I agree.
And I've learned not to get super biblical on you guys, but lately I've been thinking a lot, and I've been trying to like remind myself of this a lot. So like Jesus, when he visited, remind me of their names, Mary and Martha. Mary and Martha,
yes,
I think. They're the sisters. They're Lazarus' sisters. And I don't remember which one it was, but I'm pretty sure it was Martha, I think. Martha, if you were not the gal cleaning up, I'm sorry for the slander, but Martha was cleaning and she was cooking.
Yeah.
Well, Mary was sitting at the feet of Jesus, and Martha was like, well, Jesus, tell her to come up here and help me.
Yeah.
Like, I'm working my butt off over here. I'm hosting. Hosting is a lot of work. And for most of my life, I was the Martha. I was like, all right, guys, let's get off. Let's get back on track.
Yeah.
Let's do our stuff. But the fact of the matter is, you're always going to have things to do. Martha was always going to have someone to cook for.
True.
She was always going to have someone to clean up after. But she wasn't always going to have Jesus there telling his lessons. In the same sense, we are always going to have deadlines. We're always going to have the thing that we're working on. And we should stay on task and obviously workload like you were talking about. But at the end of the day, what do you live your life for? You know, you live your life for those connections. And it's okay to be a little bit late to an event. It's okay to kind of veer off the plan that you have for the day or your to-do list because you decided to go visit someone or you decided to spend more time with someone else. One thing that I've noticed recently is that whenever you're hanging out with someone, I used to always initiate like the break off, not because I didn't want to spend time with them, but just because I was under the impression that if I didn't initiate it, the interaction would just keep going on forever. That's not the case. Normally, the interaction is going to break off naturally somewhere. And this is kind of like a given, but for some reason, I'm just now learning this. The interaction is going to break off naturally somewhere. Until that happens, spend time with that person. That person may need you,
I agree.
you know? Like, there's going to come a natural point in the conversation where you're both like, okay, let's go our separate ways. In a normal, healthy conversation with normal, healthy attachments, there's going to be a part where you're like, okay, now it's time for us to go our separate ways. But until that happens, you should just sit it out and kind of feel the vibes of the conversation. Because what if that person is working up the courage to tell you something? What if that person, you know, and I'd hate to cut someone off or I'd hate to prevent them from telling me something because they felt like I was ready to go or they felt like I was in a rush. And so one thing that I learned from this year is really how to make like deeper connections and deeper and I've also learned that genuine, deep connections are so much more meaningful than a ton of shallow, fake connections.
I
agree.
agree.
You can be nice to anyone that you want, but make sure that you're investing your time in the people that are going to add to your life. And she just lost a shoe. So I can't take that seriously, but who are like investing back into your life and are going to add value to your character.
I agree. And I think you, like, that just made me think of a lot. I thought you put that beautifully because I always have the same problem of, like I don't want the conversation to end, but, like, I know it has to.
Yes, and I'm so anxious to get on to the next thing.
Yes, and it's like, why are you even conversating with people in the first place if you don't even, like, not care to be there, but if you're in such a rush to go to the next thing.
And here's the thing, like, what are you cutting off the conversation for?
I had that realization the other day. Like,
you know, because,
what better do I have to be doing than reaching out to people?
You know, right now, we are stressed. We have a lot of things to do. Like, but if I were to cut off this conversation, it's because I would need to go memorize my RA. But at the end of the day, memorizing my IRA is not that difficult.
No.
And I could do that late at night if I needed to. You know, I could do that on a car ride if I needed to. You know, I could fit it into other places such that I could make more time
for other people. I agree.
Yeah. Also, I'm really needing some water. I wonder if we can pause this to get water.
Yeah.
I think he forgot. We're going to pause this. I need water.
He can just cut it right here. You don't have to turn it off.
Girl, now I'm addicted to water.
I know, because it makes you feel so good.
Like, I'm not even addicted to Diet Coke. Yesterday, I did not finish my Diet Coke.
Wait, this is the most growth.
Be proud of me. Be proud of me. Okay. Resume the
We're
shot.
back. We had to get a water break because we're thirsty.
Yes, we were parched, but now we're better.
So.
Okay,
so that was our first question. I'm going to ask you the second.
Okay.
So what was your favorite moment from our team, and then favorite moment with a member/members?
From our team, it's always probably going to be from base camp. When you become a state officer, base camp is just the best time in general because at that time you're still idolizing the job. Not that the job isn't really fun, but you don't have a realistic idea of the challenges that you're going to face yet. You're still very much on the high of, oh my God, I got elected. Like, these are the best people ever. You're still in the honeymoon stage. And I have to say, our team is really strong, and we've stayed as close to the honeymoon stage as I think we could have stayed with as many things as we've gone through.
Yes.
But that is like when you at that point are, everything is new. Everything's more exciting when you don't know it, when you don't know what is coming. And so all these new people, this brand new job normally if you become a state officer, you've been wanting to be a state officer for years.
Exactly.
And so that is just naturally, it's going to have more endorphins running around in your brain while you're going through that training. And it's also like when you get all of your backpack and all of your stuff. And it's when you're learning to do all the things you've always see state officers do. So just in general, that's a happy experience. But I always go back to, we did base camp at a beautiful place.
It was so pretty.
It was gorgeous. It was like northern Louisiana.
Yeah.
We had a huge deck with the living area that we did our training in.
It was perfect.
Huge windows overlooking a lake. We used to fix our lunch like in this beautiful kitchen, and we'd go outside and eat it. And the weather was good. I know we slept outside. The girls slept outside, but the weather was good.
It was good.
I
You couldn't tell.
Well. Yeah. And I probably base camp specifically eating lunch with our teammates on the dock.
So fun.
I thought that was really fun. Oh, we also went swimming and we ate watermelon.
Yeah, that was fun.
I was a little bit scared of the water. I'm still scared of water.
It's okay. Brain eating amoeba.
So, maybe not that fear, but everything else about going and swimming that afternoon was really fun. We got done with our work early. We changed into our swimwear, and we went and we ate watermelon and we swam. And we had some really good conversations out there. And that was towards the end of base camp. And so we were kind of wrapping things up. I think we had 1 day left.
Yeah.
And so it was kind of like the end. We knew each other enough, and we'd started to prepare things like we knew our leadership camp buddies. So I think probably swimming at base camp was super fun. Then for members, let me think. I really, really liked the Mangum banquet. Me and Michaela were sitting there, and we were like, just because our chapter is really close with their chapter, I also liked, let me think. I liked almost every lunch interaction that I had at leadership camp.
Yeah.
Because the food was good. Leadership camp was an extremely big high for the state officers, at least. And it's just kind of chill because during summer you don't have a lot going on.
No.
The kids are, you're at a summer camp. How bad could it be?
I agree.
And so I would just hang out with people, and we'd chill and we'd talk and we'd eat our food.
Yeah.
And when you're an FFA, when you're in a situation like that, you're just kind of like, we just kind of get each other and we're just chilling.
Exactly.
Even
There's
if
like
you've
that
never talked to the
universal
person before, and you're just kind of like, can I sit here? And they're like, yeah.
They're like, yeah.
And then you hit off
I'm
a
so glad they didn't say no.
Yeah.
That was like my biggest
That would have been
fear.
embarrassing. That would have been. I would just been like, okay, cool.
Like,
I'll
no,
go
I guess not.
cry, I guess.
Bye.
I don't know. Anyway,
Bye.
What was your favorite moment?
Okay, my favorite for team and members are from leadership camp, but my favorite team moment is when we would stay up till I have two from leadership camp actually. My favorite team moment would be like staying up late in the workroom and we'd be writing our manuals. but then we would get a hold of the speaker. So then we would go through each of our like favorite songs at the time. So at one point it was Wiz Khalifa, another it's Tyler the Creator, another it's like I don't know, pop music.
Very varying music tastes on our team.
But it would be so fun because everyone would know the song when someone played it. And so we'd all like join in and start singing. We were going to get the work done eventually.
Yeah.
So I think those are one of my favorite team moments. And also just like the little moments where we'd spend it together and kind of debrief everything.
I love debriefs.
Like if we just be on a trip, like Secret Santa was fun. I liked that.
That was the most beautiful interaction because everyone knew something that the other person wanted.
That was really sweet. So I think like just those moments where we were together as a whole and like didn't have to talk about state office things. Like we were just like friends in a friend group, which is like you said, you would never think that we would like our group would not be friends at like a regular high school because we're just so different in every sort of way. And so I'm just really thankful for that because it teaches you a lot about yourself and how to interact with other people. Oh, my second favorite team memory is also from leadership camp, and it's not necessarily like team memory, but like, for example, like one time JJ and I were setting up for her workshop the next day.
Core memory.
And that was like the beginning of our friendship, I feel, or like the moment like
because we'd been acquaintances before that.
Yeah.
We were like from the same school, so obviously we had like one
friends.
Of those like we were
surface
friends,
level.
but I don't know if we had like a
that,
friendship.
And that like solidified it, and that was like I think about that moment all the time.
I loved that evening.
It was
oh my god,
so amazing.
That was such a high.
And so that's my second team memory. For the members also at leadership camp, like I said, but was when we would give out the manuals for some of these kids, like you just have to realize this is all that they have. And they do put the state officers on a pedestal, which they don't have a reason
Please
to.
don't.
Like, I promise we're all the same.
We're normal.
But when you go and you give these kids these manuals, like that is like the spark that gets them to start doing more things and to have confidence in their life. And my core memory of that is at Area 1 and 2 camp, I gave it to this girl named Autumn, who's being included in my RA, if you know, you know. And anyway, but she was just kind of one of those people who was really authentic and really genuine to herself, but like many people wouldn't go out and reach out to her. And so by taking the time to get to know her, like I like considered her like a good friend. And anyway, giving her that manual, like the way that she like looked at me, like I felt like I was in a movie scene. Like she, like it had meant the world to her. And maybe I'm speaking wrong about this. Like she can come and correct me. But I don't know. It was just at that moment that I had the realization that what we do does impact members. And like sometimes it feels cheesy when we're giving callbacks or you know, we feel out of our element because we're the same age as these kids. But at the end of the day, we're the ones doing it to help inspire them to do more with their lives. And so I'm just thankful for having that moment and that wake-up call during leadership camp because, yes, the days were tiring, but it's so worth it to put the smiles on people's faces and to have them remember you for being kind to them. So, yeah, those are my three favorite. Okay.
Do you want me to ask you this one?
Yeah, you asked the next question.
So what was the biggest change you've seen in yourself?
Oh. I'm trying to think. Okay. I guess like two things. I don't know. If it's not two things, sorry if I get off track. But I think the first one is I learned to not be as much of a people pleaser anymore. Just because, like, for the first time I was around people who just wanted to know me for me and immediately didn't come into our friendship of, I expect you to give me something. And so it felt so nice to have a team where you could rely on others to do stuff. And, like, I don't know, I'm kind of wording this wrong, but, like, I didn't have to go out of my way or, like, do all these extravagant things to make people love me. Like, this team, like, accepted me for who I was and didn't expect me to do all this stuff just to be considered a good friend. So I'm thankful for that. And having the realization, like, that you only get so much good as you put in. And so just like learning to take advantage of seriously every opportunity and actually put your full heart into it, because there were moments this year where I didn't do that, and I regret those moments because I don't know, I just feel like I missed out on some stuff, but that was all on me. And so it definitely taught me that if you want something to truly fulfill your life, then you need to make it something bigger in your own, and you need to put your full effort into everything that you do, because yes, it sucks, and yes, I don't want to memorize my stuff right now, but we're about to have the best state convention and have another opportunity, and that kind of last opportunity to have that final impact. Another change I've seen, that's number 3, sorry. Another change I've seen is that I'm more willing to talk to people, and I don't know why I was ever, like, not like that, because I've grown up being outgoing, but I've also had that anxiety of, like, being judged by others and not saying the right thing, or not, I would always come in with a game plan to every conversation I had, and would, like, for real study people on Facebook to ask about the vacation they went on, or their siblings, or their mom, like, and I'd been programmed to think that that was how you built a relationship and built a conversation. And so I think I really learned how to just embrace those awkward moments of silence and conversation, and to be willing to talk about literally anything, because at the end of the day, everyone is not actively seeking out a new friend, but it never hurts to have another one.
Right.
And so I'm just glad that I learned that, and I think that that's going to help me in this next chapter of my life.
It definitely will.
Because I get so much more from making new friends and building, like you said, those deep-rooted connections with people, because not only do they fulfill me, but they give, other people something to look forward to, or I don't know. It makes me feel a lot better, and it makes me feel like I have a community of support. So, end of story, the 3 things I learned. To not be a people pleaser. What was the second thing I said? Whatever the second thing I said was, I don't remember much lately.
Not be a people pleaser.
It was like stemming off of people pleasing.
Yeah, it was. You're gonna make the most, like.
Oh yeah, make the most out of everything. Like take everything in, and then number 3, always make a new friend. So.
Okay.
How have you changed?
I don't know if I've been organized 3 things.
That
like
wasn't very organized.
I'm just gonna spitball some things. So, number 1, I learned, like, kind of what you said, like, you're gonna get out of something whatever you put into it. And so there were some times in the year where I was just, like, worn out, and I was just like, what's the point? What is the minimum amount of, like, what can I do to say that I did it, but not put in, like, the full time?
I agree.
And the times when I did that, yes, I did complete the things that I wanted to complete, but I didn't get anything out of it. Like, it was just a very unfulfilling experience.
Yes.
So, like, for example, with my RA, I could just go in and, like, roughly memorize it. And, I could deliver it. I could, like, my array is such that I could cut out an entire support and still make time. Yeah. Because it is a little long. Sorry, Miss Ellie. Fine. But at the end of the day, that wouldn't be fully sharing the message that I want to share. Agree. And so I'm going to take that extra time and memorize all of that extra stuff. I'm going to memorize it almost, not word for word, but very close, because how it's written verbatim is the kind of the message that I want to share and the message that I want to put out. And I know that I want that result, but I have to put in the work, Yes. And so I'm going to get out of it whatever I put into it. If you are not putting very much effort, I'm just going to be honest, you're not going to get a lot out.
I agree.
And I've never necessarily been the bare minimum type of gal, but when I do get tired, to me, it's a pretty good sign. Either if you're going to do something, go ahead and make sure that it's meaningful to you. Go ahead and make sure that you are going to put your full effort in, or don't do it at all. Number 2, I learned to be like a go-getter, because you can do all these things. You can passively put in an application. You can passively complete a lot of things. But when you start initiating things and actually taking action beyond what other people would do, that is what sets you apart. And if you really want something and if you want to stand out, that's how you do it.
Agreed.
Number 3, trying to think. Biggest change. I'm just, as a person in general, I'm a lot more confident.
Yeah.
Because I've gotten more confident in my ability to work. I've gotten more confident in my ability to speak. And I've learned the value of going in and doing hard things. Like, one defining moment for me was at base camp, and I told Kenzie about this the other day when she came to my house. I very much felt like a fraud when I got on the state officer team. Before we got elected, me and Mimi were like, we're too basic. We're not.
We are too basic. I forgot about that.
Vote. Just vote.
Just vote. Just vote.
They're too basic. They're not. We're too basic. They're not going to pick us. Because I didn't really have any knowledge of ag. And I had done some studying, but it was purely for, like, nom-com purposes. Yeah. And so I felt like, I was like, because I didn't truly, I'm just going to be honest, I didn't truly expect to get on the team. I thought that, I know now, looking back, we know that FFA's values go deeper than just what is your knowledge of FFA. But at the time, knowledge of ag and FFA seemed like the most important thing.
It did.
And so I was like, well, I don't have that, so they must have accidentally picked me for the wrong reason. And I was so convinced that, and everyone on our team is very knowledgeable about agriculture. Like, most of them have livestock, live on farms, show animals. We don't do that. And so that does not make us any less of FFA state officers nor FFAers. For my fellow FFAers out there. However, it does lead to a feeling at the time of imposter syndrome where you're like, I don't really, because they all seem to know what they were talking about. And so we had this exercise where we were pretending to talk to, not a sponsor, what's the other one? Like a business partner, kind of. And one of our staff was like replicating who that person would be, and we just kind of went up them and talked to them as if we were at a mock convention. Yeah. And I volunteered to go first because I wanted to get it over with because I was nervous. Yeah. I was not told that we had to do this in front of all the officers. Everyone. So I walk in. Her name's Miss Alora. She's a national facilitator. She does our training. And she was like, well, JJ, you said you would go first. And everyone's sitting on the couches. And y'all, I literally got up. That was one of 2 times that I've cried in front of my teammates. Not counting Mimi. I cry in front of Mimi a lot. Yeah. But same. I remember I stood up and I literally shed tears because I was so, and I told Miss Allure, I was like, no, I didn't know we were going to do it in front of people. I don't want to do it first anymore because I wanted to see how someone else did it. But she was like, nope, you volunteered to go first. You're going first. No. At first I thought she was mean for doing that. Looking back, I bet she was doing it because when she saw I didn't want to go first, she was like, this is what needs to happen. It is. This is what needs to happen. This is, and so I went up and I shed a tear, but she still made me go first. And when I went, like, I remember I sat down, and Breck was one of the people that I was afraid of because Breck is very farm.
He just knows so much.
Breck is very farm.
He's so farm.
And so I was like, well, he's going to think I'm an idiot now. And I thought Kenzie was going to, and just everyone, I was like, they all know so much and I know so little. And I was like, they're going to see through, this is going to be the event where they see through my facade. And, well, as it turns out, when I sat down, Brooke was like, I remember I sat down, he goes, that was really good. And I was like, really? Thank you. Yeah. And
it was good.
It just kind of taught me that you do hard things and you feel uncomfortable doing them and you're scared of them. But the first time is always the hardest time. And once you get over that, you expand your capabilities so much further than you ever could have thought by doing the hard thing. Please do the hard things. Please do the hard things because the hard things are what's keeping you back or what's keeping you in a box. Yes. Fear of doing something hard, fear of doing something not the right way, of doing something because you're inexperienced, that is what's holding you back. Once you can get over that, you're going to grow so much and life is going to open itself up to you. It will. So the 3 things that I learned would be do the hard things, and be confident. Me when I can't remember my 3 things.
Seriously, the memory loss is crazy.
It'll come back to me. Well,
the first one was
what was my first story? I feel like I had a story for each one.
You did.
Guys, help us out here. Speak up, please.
Comment below.
Speak up. What was my 3 things? Here's your quiz time. It's like when the teacher forgets and they're like,
yes.
Or like when you're doing a workshop and you realize that you don't know the questions or the answers.
Yeah.
So you do the good old fashioned, read me your question and your answer. Because you have no idea
Tell
what the
me
question is
everything.
anymore. Okay, well, moving on.
Yeah.
Can't remember.
You know what she said. You can summarize in the comments.
Yeah. Maybe if you were listening, you'd know.
Yeah.
I'm just
Got
kidding.
him. Okay. Am I asking this one?
Do you want me to ask this one? Because I just got done talking.
Yes. Sorry, I got confused.
What is your advice to someone who wants to run for state office? And I guess since we've done area office, you could do area office too if you wanted to.
Okay. Let me think. I feel like a lot of this is like I'm repeating the same lessons and advice that I've kind of
It's
learned
true
this
facts,
year. So I'm just going to reiterate it again. Don't be afraid to talk to people. I think that connections get you so far in life because at the end of the day, people want to feel loved and valued. And when you're in a position of power, I'm putting my finger up so I remember this. When you're in a position of power, people, you have that immediate respect you get, but when you're kind to people and you don't treat them like less, then, they feel more loved by that. Speaking of that, when we were at base camp, we learned this thing, and I don't remember it exactly, but it's the stair steps of leadership, and it's how, you develop as a leader, because first, when you're given this title of state or area officer, people have to immediately respect you. But that doesn't mean that they have to love everything that you do, that they, have to sing your high praises. And so as you become more and more of an effective leader, you eventually become someone who people truly see, in a positive light and see them as initiators of change and give that respect for them, like unintentionally, like it just comes. And so I guess stemming from that, always try to be the leader that's up here and that inspires people by the way you walk. Because everything that you do can be taken as a lesson for someone else, and it can serve as an example. And I think that if you're in that position, you should do everything you can to be kind, to try the hard things, because the only way you learn is to do the hard things, to remain confident, and to be the leader that everyone looks up to, not just the people you're serving, but even the people on your team, because you can all learn from each other. Also, be a team player. Be a team player. Don't think
Please do your part.
Please do your part, but also don't think that you have to do everything by yourself.
Right.
Like, allow others to be heard and valued, but also get your point across at the same time, because that's what a team is. And yes, you're only with them for a year, but you can learn so much from being a good team member, because for me personally, I had to learn this. I would much rather do things by myself, but you're going to be working in a team the rest of your life. So you've got to learn how to do it now, and I'm not saying that it's a bad thing, but you've got to be willing to sacrifice and to learn to love others' ideas. And so, yeah, just be a good person and take advantage of everything. So, same question to you.
To reiterate some of the stuff that Mimi said, because I think it's really important.
Yeah.
When you're working in a team, sometimes you're going to have to learn to, maybe you had an original idea for something, and maybe your idea was objectively better than everyone else's. But if the whole team is leaning towards another idea,
let it go.
You have to let that go. Your vision of your idea may change. The way something turns out may be completely different from how you imagined it. Your team connections and the bond that you have with your team is not worth one instance in which you were right.
Yes.
It's not worth it, especially if it's forced proximity like something like state office or area office is, where you're going to have to work with those people for the rest of the year. It's not worth it. So definitely make sure that they know your suggestion. I'm sorry, that was really
You're
gross.
good. It's not. We're all human.
Exactly. Let me just get my
You're
train of thought
fine.
back. Make sure that they know your suggestion and make sure that they understand it. If they don't choose it, then that's not necessarily a personal attack. That's not something to panic about.
Nothing is personal on a team, and you have to be so aware of that.
Yeah.
Like, you have to remain grounded in yourself to be a good team member. Okay, sorry.
No, you're good. Mr. Riley gave us a little letter at the beginning of the year.
Dylan Turner, report to the office.
This is why we
Thank
graduated.
you, Miss Stephanie. Mr. Riley gave us this like little letter that served as kind of like a piece of advice at the beginning of the year when we first got state office. And one of the things on there was like, you may have the best idea in the room, but you're going to have to let it go. And when they choose the other piece of advice, here's the key, because people naturally, they want to be right. You want to be proven right. When they choose that other idea and it doesn't work out like they thought, please do not say, I told you so. Please do not say, well, my other idea was better. You guys just didn't listen to it.
That just...
It feels like the best thing in the world, but it has terrible effects.
Yes, and it's really serving you no good.
And the thing about a good idea is if they did pass up that good idea, let them realize that on their own, and they will.
And they will come to you.
If it was truly a good idea, they will come back to you. They're going to realize it on their own. You're not going to have to tell them.
Yeah.
If you have to tell them, then you're being annoying. And self-awareness, actually, let's talk about self-awareness for a second.
That's my other piece of advice.
I ditto everything that Mimi said. Go back and listen to her. Please be self-aware. I saw this TikTok, and it was like, for better or for worse, if something happens to you specifically, if there's a pattern in your life, it's you. For better or for worse. If there's a pattern in your life, it's you.
Yes.
So if you're having trouble with everyone on the team, that's a pattern.
It's you.
It's you. And this is just being honest. I'm not trying to be mean or anything.
And it's not targeted.
Some of us have issues that are that we can't see because we're human and we're biased.
It happens to all of us.
We're biased to our own selves. And sometimes you have a habit that maybe you come from a difficult household. That's a habit that you had to develop to survive in your household. However, that's not a habit that you need to bring to the team. And it can be hard to get rid of that.
Yeah.
It can be hard to be mindful of when that's happening. But that doesn't make it okay to bring onto the team. Maybe you had a habit that you developed because you had a really toxic friendship or a really toxic relationship, and that sucks. And please ask for forgiveness and all that. However, that still does not make it okay for you to bring on the team. If there's a pattern, it's you. If you see a pattern of problems, let's do a little self-reflection. Be very aware at all times. There's almost always, when a problem occurs, there's almost always something that every person could have done better.
Yes,
almost always.
That was beautiful.
Even if it was just a little better, and focus. At my old school, we did the 7 Habits of Happy Kids.
Yeah.
And one of them was, it actually just...
Blank.
Memory loss is real.
Bleep.
It was called... It was called, the name of the habit was just be proactive, but it was basically the idea of make sure that you're doing your stuff, and unless someone asks for it, unless someone tells you to, don't worry about anyone else. Get all of your stuff done.
Yes.
Get all of your stuff done. You meet all of your deadlines. You memorize all of your stuff. You prepare everything for your workshop, and it's going to let it slide. I had an instance this year where I was doing a workshop with a few partners, and I just worried about my stuff. I had an idea that one of the partners was not doing their stuff, but did I go up to that person and did I say, you're not doing your stuff, get on top of it? No. I did my stuff, and guess what? Did the workshop go well? Not necessarily. However, afterward, the point of the workshop still got across. However, afterwards, it was very clear that that person did not do their part, and they had a conversation about it, and that was addressed in due time. However, I saved that friendship because I didn't go and attack that person, but I also saved my position because I did all of my work. So it was very clear that I was not the person who was responsible for or at fault for that workshop.
That's very true.
Because if you start going and you start doing everything for everyone else, you're going to wear yourself out.
You will. That's people pleasing.
And that's people pleasing. And you're going to be annoying.
Yes. Yes.
Just focus on your things.
Yeah.
Stay chill.
Because at the end of the day, like, you won't be recognized, but people will see you for the work that you do. And they're not, even if you did everyone else's work, you're not getting the recognition for doing that. So
you're wearing yourself out. You're not getting the
For
recognition.
no reason.
The strength of the team comes from all the different facets.
Individual.
All the different facets. Our team is, take it from us. I don't think you could have a more diverse team than us. We are so different.
I agree. We're so different.
Each one of us has a completely opposite personality from all the rest of the people on the team.
I agree.
So whatever happens, your strength is in your diversity. Your strength is in your team.
Yep.
Let your team do their work. Give them a chance to do their work.
Yes.
Some people are last-minute people. Some people are
and that's okay.
3 weeks before people. Let that person do their thing. That's their strength.
Yeah.
They're on that team for a reason, even if you can't fully see it. If nothing else, the universe, or if you're a believer, God placed them on that team. And
everything happens for a reason, so just let it happen.
It's okay.
Let it happen.
And the thing is, people who have been in your position are going to be so understanding when things go wrong.
They will. Yeah.
So you don't have to stress about things not looking good. You should always try your best. You should always put in the work. But the point is, mistakes are going to happen. Don't stress over them.
Yeah.
There's going to be something that goes wrong
Yes.
within your year of service. There's going to be something that goes wrong during NomCom. Nothing is ever perfect.
No. And it shouldn't be. And to go along with this doesn't mean to say, like, don't help your teammates in any way, but don't be an overbearing presence to where they feel that they can't act individually. And, you know, don't feel like they have a part in the team because everyone has to do it for them. So help them when they ask for it. Don't help them because you think that they need it.
Right. Make sure that they always know that you're available.
Yeah.
Now, if they start to use you, that could happen too. Make sure that you set that boundary, what we talked about earlier. You focus on your work.
Yeah.
And there are times when, you know, some of our teammates are in college and they'd have, like, college midterms.
Yeah.
And we wouldn't have as much. And we'd be like, okay, guys, since you have your midterm, I'm going to, like, when we were writing reflections, Michaela was going through finals and midterms. I don't remember which one. It was big test period. And so I was like, I'll take on more reflections because you have midterms. And that is acceptable.
Fine.
What would not have been acceptable is if Michaela would have made me write all the reflections.
Exactly.
Or if she wouldn't have helped me or anything like that.
Yeah.
But it was okay for the work to look like 80-20, 70-30.
Yeah, I agree.
Because, however, it's never okay for the work to look like 0-100.
Work.
Self-awareness. If you see a pattern,
break it.
It's you.
Be the change.
It's you. Reflect, and if you want a moment of honesty, go up to someone who's truly your friend and say, I'm having this problem, and it's a pattern in my life. I would like to know, like, what you think that I can do to make it better. A true friend will be honest with you and will tell you.
A true friend.
And once you break that pattern, it's so freeing. It's hard. Do the hard things. It's so hard, but it's freeing.
I feel like we're like 80-year-old like prophets.
I feel like I'm a therapist
right now. No,
actually.
I know. I was literally thinking that too.
I have no training in psychology. This is just life.
If you want us to be therapists, call us up.
Yeah, you can
we
talk
need
to
jobs,
us. You can talk to. We do need jobs. We're about to go into college. I'm about to be in a lot of debt.
It's looking rough, people.
If you want to pay me for any service, actually not just therapy, I'll take it.
We could be like we could just go give random advice speeches at random conferences.
We could just be fortune tellers.
Do the hard things. That's all I gotta say. Okay. This is the final segment of today. But JJ had the beautiful idea, it is a really good idea, of finding questions that we were asked in NomCom and comparing it to what we most likely said there and what we would say today. So, the first one is, what do you want to accomplish in your year of state office?
So part of this segment is we're going to say what we are pretty sure that we said last year, or what we probably said last year, and then saying our answer. So last year, I know for sure I said, like, I'm looking forward to visiting a lot of chapters. Mine was rather realistic. I was very afraid of being, like, cliche in NomCom because you're trying to stand out in such a big candidate pool when you listen to 4 hours of interview answers. Some things are going to go over your head, and you never want your answer to be the one that goes over a judge's head. So I probably said something to the effect of, I can't wait to visit lots of chapters, connect with a lot of members and I mainly was looking forward to doing workshops because I love teaching.
Yeah.
And I still love doing workshops. Workshops are I love facilitating a workshop. I really do. This year, right now, I would probably say, I think the workshops would stay the same. I think I would put more emphasis on our business partner events. So, like the Farm Bureau convention.
Yes.
I didn't get to go to that this year. Walking out and, like, Bash on the Bayou, your tour of LSU, because that is a group of people that's reaching out to you. Naturally, you have your group of people. You have your FFA members that you serve. But the LSU Ag Center, the 4-H, Farm Bureau, those are all groups of people that are helping you almost nearly exclusively out of the kindness of their heart and in support of your organization. Yeah. And you need to make sure that their efforts are worth it and that they know how much you appreciate that, because there's no government regulation forcing them to do that. Well, maybe with LSU. but
still.
But as far as like Farm Bureau Convention, and a bunch of other sponsors that we have nationally and statewide, make sure that they know that you appreciate them and they are aware of the good work that you're doing. Yeah. Obviously, if they're supporting you, they already have a pretty good idea, but making sure that you are connecting with them on a personal level and making them feel valued as a business partner, valued as a sponsor. Yeah. Not just for their finances, but for the difference that they're making in the future of not only agriculture, but every single field of Louisiana industry. We have past members who have become lawyers, doctors, obviously farmers, business people, communications majors,
literally anything.
Bank people, and whatever they do, they're good at it. That's the thing.
Yeah, I agree.
And so making sure that they recognize that and making sure that they see how much you appreciate them. And that their time and their efforts and their support, because FFA, we're a regular organization. I don't know if we're not classified as a nonprofit, but we don't make profit.
I agree.
So we are able to make our difference because of people like that.
Yeah.
So I think I'd probably put more of an emphasis on that. How would you answer that question?
Okay, mine's like honestly going to be an exact flip of yours, because I remember in NomCom, I was like running on this campaign of, I had done lobbying work for agriculture before, and that was really one of the things I was most excited for, because I knew we had day at the Capitol, and I knew we were going to go to D.C. and go and lobby for agriculture. I didn't know it was going to be the Farm Bill at the time, which was pretty ironic. But I was kind of going on that spiel of, I'm excited to get to talk to business people, because like, to me, that's something that fills my cup, because it's like I was saying that stair step of leadership, when you're in those rooms with those representatives, those congressmen, or even just the ag business owners, it's crazy that they're listening to 18 and 17-year-olds who have, just signed up and run and put all this work in to be state officers, but it's like, oh, I'm a child. You have a degree and you've had all this work experience. And so that always fills my cup, and I really love that. So I definitely talked about that, of wanting to accomplish. I think I said something about the members and like wanting to make a bunch of connections and be a friend and be a role model to people, stuff like that. I gave like some of the basic answers of, I want us to do more and go on chapter visits and give speeches. And like, yeah, everyone's going to do that, but like, that's not the bulk of what we do, or at least what's the most fulfilling, if you just think of it in the context of chapter visit after chapter visit, speech after speech, whatever. So now that I look back on it, I'd still put an emphasis on the business stuff. I think that is so vital to our organization.
I didn't realize, I was like, oh, yeah, they're just sponsors.
No.
Every single TV show has, thank you to our sponsors.
Yes.
But
for real, thank you to our sponsors.
With FFA, they work so closely with us. We really wouldn't be able to do much without them.
And so I think about that, and, for some of us, that was our first experience and maybe our only experience going to Congress and lobbying for the Farm Bill.
That was my first time.
Exactly. And
like, I'm not experienced in that stuff.
And like I'm not either. And I just think that is
girl, get out
the
of my
neatest.
face. Get out of my face.
Whatever. I'm not an adult. And I am now, actually. But I think that's just the neatest experience to take advantage of. And I honestly wish that could have spiraled more into more lobbying efforts on our part, because I just remembered seeing from past state officer teams when they go on industry visits, and we never did that.
Yes, I wish we would have.
Single one of those. I would have
tried to.
Like, I would have loved to do that.
I don't think, like, this year. I mean, you can't really plan that stuff on a whim.
I agree.
It's not like we could, like, have gotten elected and then be like, we're going to go on this industry. Like, you can't do that.
You can't, no.
But I at least would have put, and I may still, like, put suggestions and a word in about us reaching out to do more industry visits.
I think so, too.
Because we didn't get those opportunities.
No, and I think that would leave a larger impact.
And I also think, sorry, this is
you're
adding
good.
on to
I'm
my
trying to
answer
think.
from earlier. I would try to, all of the things that state officers do, I would try to start influencing state office to start bringing members to all of those things. Because
I agree.
Just because they're not a state officer, I think this is something that FFA does struggle a little bit with. All of, like, our big events, only the state officers go to.
Yeah.
So only state officers go on industry visits, only state officers lobby. However, I feel like it would be a lot more impactful if we say, this is a random kid from Dotson FFA, and he has a bee farm, and he's an expert on bee farms. So when we go on our industry visit to Honeybee Farms, we're bringing Tyler, because our state officer, like, maybe it can be an application process. Maybe
that'd be cool.
Maybe it's a whatever, and it's like, this person actually has experience and is actually looking for a job within the honeybee industry. We do have that to some extent. Whenever you win certain state contests, you get to go on an industry visit if a industry sponsors your contest. So, like, it normally happens in small engines. It normally happens in electricity. But I think it's only, like, 2 to 3 contests do that. And I think if we could start getting members not only more involved in things like industry visits and lobbying, because how much more impactred would it be to listen to someone who actually works the soil rather than
people who are in a position.
People who are, like, over and just travel from
wherever.
Just travel from school to school giving
workshops.
Pre-written workshops.
Exactly.
You know, how much more impactful would that be? That, and I think for things like state convention, I want to see more members up on stage.
I
want to see more members
agree.
having. I had a conversation with state staff just recently about members aren't allowed to do reflections, but the reflections are literally stories about the members. So I feel like we could definitely make it. Obviously, you can't put any rando up on the stage in front of, like, 2,000 people to speak.
Yeah.
However, if we find someone reliable, if we find someone who is willing to put in the work, if we know someone, maybe it's an application basis again, I feel like members should have more opportunities to do things like that.
Yeah. I think so, too.
Beyond just, like, competitions or accepting awards.
Yeah.
I feel like we should definitely, I want to hear more stories and I want to see
I agree.
more of them.
Yeah.
Because this is our year of service, not our year of fame.
Yeah. That
just came from my brain.
Okay. Yeah. And like, we're supposed to be the biggest advocates of agriculture, but to me, mainly what we're doing is just showing up to show face at, like, competitive events and then sometimes getting to talk to sponsors. So I 1,000% agree that all of our members should get to have a voice and that they should have more opportunities that's tuned into that. And I guess another thing that I accomplished in my state office year, I feel like I kind of covered it in my initial answer, but maybe to just, like, make more friends in other states, like, make more state officer friends. I feel like that could have been a good opportunity.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I think I poured a lot more into our own team.
I agree.
Instead of doing that, which I'm really thankful for. So I guess that's the other thing. But
yeah.
our last and final question, and we're doing the same thing, is how would you approach a closed-minded person?
How would you approach a closed-minded person, Mimi?
I remember what I said in this, actually.
I don't remember what I said in this.
I remember I, turned it into a how do you handle conflict kind of question, and I made it to where you should see both sides of the story and, try to inform them, but if they don't listen, then, just go on with your day. It was something like that. I just remember wording it that way. I'd honestly have a similar approach now, but I wouldn't come in immediately trying to sell them on something. Instead, I would come into that conversation wanting to build a connection, saying, hey, how are you? What are your favorite things to do? Love your hair. Trying to build that relationship first before I would even start to lobby on agriculture and why we need funding. And so, and I mean, this just kind of goes along with all the advice I've kind of given earlier. I think that when you're having those difficult conversations with people, it's so important to build that beginning first, because they're not going to respect your opinion if you don't even try to get to know them as a person. Because at the end of the day, everyone wants to be loved. Everyone wants to be valued. It's nice to be seen. And so when talking to a closed-minded person, I wouldn't even suggest my ideas until, we're, a little far into the friendship. But if it's an interaction where I'm only talking to them once, I'd still follow the same program of listening to their ideas, hearing everything that they have to say, and I wouldn't throw back, why we're so good and why you need to do this. Instead, I think I'd bring up the solutions to the problems that they have currently and only target the things that they're saying versus, coming in with my own agenda and kind of pushing that onto others. So I think at the end of the day, it's about building the initial friendship, being genuine and not seeking out a closed-minded friendship or seeking out a friendship just to benefit something from it. Because most of the time, that's how closed-minded people think, is they think that people are only coming to them to get something out of that. So change that narrative, get rid of the conflict beforehand and try to listen to their ideas at the same time. So how would you approach a closed-minded person now?
I think my old answer was very similar to yours, and it really hasn't changed that much. I want to tell a story. I went to the Forest Festival a few weeks back, and that's a really big deal in this parish because we are the foresting part of Louisiana.
Facts.
And
go trees.
That is our agriculture. So obviously I went.
Yeah.
There's vendors there because it's a festival, and it was some guy from New Orleans, and he was selling pralines.
Oh, yum.
And it was like little praline bars. Oh my gosh, they were so good. They were
so good.
But when I approached his table, he kind of called out to me because he's a salesman, obviously. So I approached his table because I was walking around, and he began to sell his pitch to me, and he let me try his pralines and everything, and I didn't end up buying anything. But when I refused to purchase, he said basically if you don't want to buy, that's perfectly cool. You just come back another day. Here's my number. And he was like, he told this to me specifically. He said, I'm never going to force you to buy anything because if I show up to another festival or if I come to this festival next year and I've tried to force you to buy last time, guess what you're going to do to my booth? You're going to avoid it completely.
That's true.
When I'm trying to call out to you, you are going to walk the other direction because you know that I'm going to try to force you to buy something. But if he said this, if the product is good enough, it's going to sell itself.
That's so true.
And so he said, I'm not going to force you to buy because that'll just run you away for next time. I want to keep that door open for you. So if you don't want to buy now, that's perfectly fine. But just know that you can always come back later, and I'll probably be back next year. Yeah. And so with that being said, I darn near almost bought something. Yeah. Because they were very expensive too. Like, I was not going to buy them at all going in. I was like, well, I'll listen to his pitch because he called out to me.
Yeah.
But I almost left buying something. I was seriously considering it because... and that is a really good way to treat closed-minded people, is if you are going in knowing that they're closed-minded or they start showing signs of being closed-minded, particularly towards things like FFA, or this can be anything in life.
Yeah.
just kind of let it be. I mean, you
Yeah.
can't change someone's mind on something. I'd say the best thing that you can do is stay as open-minded as possible.
Yeah.
Try to relate to them. Because normally when people are closed-minded about something, it's because they have a stereotype in their brain. They have a bad past experience.
Yeah.
They have unconscious learned behavior. And none of those things you can fix. You can't go back in time and tell them that the FFA state officer that treated them horribly was invalid and maybe they were a horrible state officer, but you can't undo the feelings that they felt in that situation, the things that state officer said to them. The only thing you can do is relate to them, try to find things that you guys connect on, connect on those, and then branch from there. A lot like you were talking about, just building that bond. And never just always leave the door open for you, because the thing is, humans are curious, and humans were hardwired to grow and develop and change. And so when you say, here is something new, here's something, you know, whatever, but you don't force them, you don't pressure them, and you kind of let them come to that conclusion on their own, it's going to be so much more powerful than if they said yes, or if they agreed with you out of pressure.
Agreed.
Or out of, you know, they feel like they're a people pleaser and they felt like they had to.
Yeah.
It's going to be so much more powerful. And so I'd rather walk away with no connection the first time, or no progress for the first time, and come back and they choose it for themselves, rather than I pressure them to choose it the first time, or I pressure them to agree with me or be a part of something the first time, and then they just never do it again.
Yes.
So
I thought
that's
you
how that would be.
put that beautifully.
But I mean, shout out to the Praline salesman from New
yeah,
Orleans.
and all them giving life
You were amazing.
lessons.
You were amazing, and I think about you often.
JJ has this knack for like not talking to random people, but like they
I definitely
attract
don't have a
to
time
her.
for knocking random
No,
people-
but they
talking to random
because
people.
when we were on the plane coming back from nationals,
This is a very rare. I actually felt like everyone else when I did this, because I was like, I finally found my person that I can connect with, because
Yes.
I've been having trouble connecting with people.
Yeah.
When we went on international, or
Yeah,
not
to
international,
nationals.
to national trips.
Yes. And she met this man on the airplane, and he was a librarian.
Yes, he was a librarian at like the University of Georgia.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah.
Virginia, maybe?
Some place in the South, and like they just talked the entire flight, and were able to build this connection over something simple. So, as I say that, take JJ as an example of that. You can make a friend anywhere, and even if they're closed-minded, you don't have to sell them on anything. You simply have to be you, and people will love you for it.
Yeah.
So, that's my parting advice.
There we go.
Do you have anything else to say?
I don't have anything else to say. I feel like this session was very complete.
I know, this was like good therapy.
It was.
We just broke everything down.
We did.
Well, thanks so much for watching, guys. By the time this is uploaded, we'll probably not be state officers anymore, so #hasbeens.
Bye, guys.
We'll miss y'all. Thanks for watching. Bye.
This is our very last episode ever.
Yeah. RIP.
Wild.
Oh, I look so horrible.
Mimi, don't say that.